Welcome to the LaGrange Boys Podcast. Join Toby, Sam, and Caleb as they compete weekly in the Capital District bowling scene.
Dad.
Yeah, buddy.
Stop talking so we can start the show.
Okay. The show starts
right now.
Hey everyone, thank you very much for joining us this week for episode number 3 of the LaGrange Boys Podcast. This past week, Sammy officially kicked off his season with his first regular week of bowling in the Juniors League at the Arterial Lanes. And Toby continued on with the Space League on Tuesday nights, also at the Arterial Lanes. Let's get things started with Sammy as he tells us about his first official week of bowling with the big kids. So Sammy, how'd you bowl this morning?
Good.
What'd you bowl today?
60, an 81, and an 82.
Alrighty, did you have fun?
Yes.
Of course, having fun's what it's all about. Let's go back to bowling a little bit. Did you get any strikes today?
1.
You got 1 strike? You had a few spares too, right?
Yes.
This is your first regular week of bowling, so we don't know exactly how the team score went out. We know we lost the first game. We ended up splitting the teams up here because the lanes kept breaking. There was a problem on one lane, so it kept breaking, so they got to fix it. So they split the teams up, one team on one lane, another team on another set of lanes, and so we can get done quicker. So Sammy, you had much better scores in the second 2 games when we were on our own lane, and you did good today, right?
Yes.
So next week we're going to do it all over again?
Yes.
All right. So Sammy, is there anything else you want to add?
I would thank my teammates for bowling with me.
All right. We thank your teammates too. We'll see everybody next Saturday morning.
Next week.
Hey everybody, Toby here. Here's my recap of my Tuesday night bowling at the Arterial Lanes in the Space League. I missed the first game because I had a Little League Baseball Board of Directors meeting to go to. I got there with about 2 frames left in the first game. Watched our team lose the first game, of course. But they would have been better off if I'd stayed home. I had a 190 blind average that they were using for the first game. They would have been much better off if they had used that for the last 2 games, as I bowled a 149 and a 183. Nothing to write home about. Definitely not happy with my performance tonight. Missed a few pretty easy spares. Had a bunch of splits. Ended up using my Black Widow ball most of the night just because it hit the pins harder, even though the lanes were definitely hooking all over the place. My tour IQ was, it was more controllable, but when I hit the pocket, it wasn't giving me the results. I was leaving solid 9 pins, solid 8 pins, solid 5s, a few splits. I couldn't get it to hit the pocket hard enough, so I went with the reactive ball, the Black Widow, and just made it tougher. It was a tough night in the lanes. I did learn a lot. I think I learned a lot anyway, and I will see what next week brings. And I will say that missing that first game and missing practice, you can really see how much that hurt tonight. It's my own fault. I have a Little League Board of Directors meeting, and of course Little League's for the kids, so kids always come first. But had I had practice, I would have figured things out a whole lot sooner. If you look at the score sheet from that first game, which would be the second game for the league tonight, but my first game of the night, you would clearly see where basically quote unquote practice ended, and I got it and game began. And it was that first half of that score sheet that you consider really to be practice, where you're just trying to find your line that defined the rest of that game. Had I picked up where I figured things out earlier on, I probably would have been in the 180s. And I wouldn't be so bummed, if you would say, about my performance here tonight. But I also have to keep in mind that, shooting 600 last week, giving me a 200 average, really isn't going to be the norm. I'm still learning after being away for about 20 years. And my goal is between 180 and 185 for an average. And I have to stick to that and not look ahead. I want to have the good weeks. I have to try to keep it in that 180 to 185 range so I can move forward and get back to that 200 range that I was at, 25 years ago. But next week, be back in action, do my best again. I'll be there for all 3 games. I won't miss another game until my son's open house in 2 or 3 weeks. But we'll have more on that when the time comes.
Thank you very much for joining us this week. We'll be back next week with episode number 4, where Sammy continues to bowl with the Juniors League at Arterial Lanes, and Toby continues on with the Space League, also at Arterial Lanes. This has been a LaGrange Media production.